Hey everybody, welcome to the Morphin Grid. I'm Jake.
I'm Josh.
And this is episode 9.
Take 2.
Take 2. To be completely transparent about this, our first one was ruined by Josh's rotten neighbor children. And so we're just going to try it again. This is the 9th episode of Power Rangers. It's called For Whom the Bell Tolls. It aired September 15th, 1993, if I remember correctly. If not...
I'm going to assume you do.
If not, then it aired after that. Probably. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause the recording. We're going to go watch the episode. And then we're going to come back and talk about it.
It's Morphin time. And we're back.
So, we just watched For Whom the Bell Tolls, and I really like it. I think it's super goofy.
It's pretty good.
Josh doesn't like the name Mr. Ticklesneezer.
It's stupid.
Yes, and like I said...
But he's like a little kid's doll.
Right.
Like, that Trini grew up with, so she probably named it when she could first talk.
Right, when she first learned words, yeah. And like I said last episode, it's a really weird shift between that kid's really smart, rip his brains out, and that didn't work, make Trini's doll a monster.
Well, because Trini's doll can just take everything.
Can bottle everything.
In a bottle, yeah.
We'll get to that in a couple minutes. So we start the episode.
He's from Hyrule.
Anything in a bottle. You got bugs, bottle. Water, bottle. Deku Princess, put her in a bottle. Everything you need fits in these bottles. The only 4 bottles there are in all of Hyrule.
The most valuable things in the land. Bottles.
Bottles. So we start on...
Why isn't his name Bottles?
Because Mr. Ticklesneezer is less obvious.
I guess.
maybe it translates. Maybe his Japanese name
is Ticklesneezer.
Is Ticklesneezer
in Japanese, maybe.
And then they're just like, that's a cool name. Just keep it. So we start in the classroom with the introduction of their only teacher for pretty much ever, Mrs. Appleby, and it is Hobby Week or Hobby Day.
It's hobby class.
It's hobby. it's hobby time.
Well, she's their English teacher.
Yes. Maybe this is homeroom?
Maybe.
She's also their homeroom teacher?
I don't know. This isn't how my high school worked. We didn't have Hobby Week. Where we didn't have show and tell in high school.
Maybe. I don't know. You're right. Well, I didn't either. But, I mean, this is 1993 and in California. And, you know, it's the only way they can explain Trini likes dolls this week is if they show, what are your hobbies? I collect dolls.
It's already been established that she's a big sister, so they could have done it that way.
But she's not an actual big... What do you mean?
Like, she's in the Big Sister program. So she could have been big sistering somebody with dolls.
With dolls? But then you'd have to have another kid.
Or she could have, like, a niece or a cousin or something.
Okay, I agree that there's a lot of ways they could have done this besides Hobby Week. But with Hobby Week, we get to see what everyone likes to do.
You're right.
When they're not being Power Rangers. So we start out with Trini, who collects dolls. She's got one that's from Japan. She's wearing a kimono.
Authentic.
An authentic kimono. Which, I don't know what that means.
It looks like felt.
It's an authentic kimono, but, like, authentic kimonos are for people.
Right.
Like,
it's an authentic doll kimono made of felt
or it's
in Brooklyn.
It's an authentic... as long as it's by Japanese people, it's
right,
still authentically
then it's authentic.
The way I see it, it's authentic, but someone put it in the dryer when they shouldn't have. And now she has to keep it on her doll. They put it in
the fashion machine.
Oh, from last week, and I just shrunk it all up.
Shrunk it down.
Oh, yeah, last week we had 2 episodes. We're not sure if we're going to be able to do that this week. We're going to try, but we're not guaranteeing.
3.
Well, like, we need to look at our schedules.
I want to have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday release schedule.
I would also like that.
But real jobs, happen.
demon neighbors, editing time. There's factors. We're gonna try. Maybe this is definitely gonna be a Monday episode.
Definitely, because it's Saturday. I'm sorry, no, it's Friday.
It's Friday. I thought it was Saturday all day, and I was like, "Why am I even here? I have today off." And I was like,
I thought it was Saturday since Wednesday. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. Anyway, so she's like, "These are my dolls." Back to the episode.
Yeah,
these are my dolls. This is my favorite, Mr. Ticklesneezer, and it is the creepiest looking doll I've ever seen in my life. It's got this super wide smile. It doesn't look anything like the monster, but that's not the point. It's got a super wide smile, and he's got this bottle, and his clothes are obviously made just for the episode to look like Mr. Ticklesneezer's.
Right.
Which is a nice touch.
Yeah.
Which, thanks for going the distance, prop department. We get a cutaway shot of like her friends being like, "Oh man, this is really cool."
Right.
And there are other people who are kind of interested, which is weird because I went to high school, and if I was like, "Hey, here's my hobbies. I read comics and watch wrestling."
We've been to high school before.
They'd be like, "Get out of here, nerd. No one wants to hear about anything you like." I'm like, but all right.
Not the locker again, please.
No one stuffed me in a locker.
No one stuffed me in a locker either, and I was pretty nerdy. So
and you would fit. I would. We had tiny lockers. Not the point. Then we cut up to Rita, who is mad as all get out that Trini gets to play with dolls.
That Trini had a childhood.
Because she says, "I didn't get to play with dolls. I had to learn magic and how to be bad."
Yes.
So someone sat Rita down in a classroom all day.
Taught her.
She had 2 classes, magic and evil. And presumably, like Diva Talks went to this same school. Oh man. I want to do a spin-off web series of Rita's beginnings, of Rita learning.
Rita in evil high school.
Evil high, yeah, I mean, great. And Zed's like the quarterback, but it's evil, so he's just like the baddest dude there. He's not really a quarterback of evil because they don't have a sports team,
right?
Because they're in space, presumably. So guys, look for Evil High coming this fall.
Probably not this fall.
Maybe not this fall, but definitely sometime I'm going to be in a position where I can make this happen. Okay. So we come back down to Earth. Jason's talent, or not talent, his hobby is karate. Jason's a one-trick pony.
Right.
I mean, his one trick is karate, which has many sub-tricks in it. Because this time he's got a bow staff, and he's like whipping it around like crazy.
Yeah.
And he's super serious, and he's wearing pajama pants to school with his tank top tucked into him.
Is he head to toe red? I don't remember.
He's wearing a red tank top and red plaid pajama pants.
They're pajama pants, right.
And then we have like Bulk and Skull in the back. Like Bulk has like a pencil, and he's like, "Why?" And it's like he's like flipping it between his fingers, and then he just snaps, and he's like, "Oh, whatever."
Nerds.
Then we have, who is next? Zach
surfing.
Zach surfs because they've already shown that he likes dancing.
But they've already shown that Jason likes karate.
Look, think of another thing that Jason would like.
This is the first time that Jason...
That's not a bow staff.
Yeah.
Maybe,
he could like CPR.
Karate's not... Well, that's...
Because he's like a paramedic
Because he's an
now.
EMT now, yeah.
So,
Not Jason...
Not Jason.
Scott, the character, Austin St. John,
yes,
the actor, former actor, is now an EMT. Good for him. Zach surfs. Sure. They're a coastal town, as we have proven.
Coastal desert town.
Coastal desert forest.
Abandoned warehouse town.
Abandoned warehouse, and there's mountains, I bet.
Oh, definitely.
And probably
they're
a
at
river,
least in the background of giant fights.
I bet it gets snow. No, it doesn't. That's the plot of a later episode.
Right.
So
that's right.
So never mind.
I could have sworn I remembered there being a
snowboard episode. They go up north for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because in that episode, that's a fun fact for much later.
Right.
That's a hard couple episodes.
Like they're bad?
No, they're just emotionally draining. That's the episode where Tommy gets that letter. Yeah. let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to.
I don't want to do this anymore because we're gonna have to get to that. No, it hurts.
Tough.
It's gonna be years before we get that far.
Years from now, you'll forget dozens of times about it by then. After Zach surfs, and he's like doing a sweet demonstration on the
desk
because obviously there's no waves.
They're
in
not
a
in a
classroom.
wave pool. Yeah,
so like it's unrealistic for us to expect that of him. So he throws out a bunch of surfer terms that I don't understand, and then he like does like that Y sign language.
Like,
Y
you're in the tube,
tube. Yeah, I don't think he says "bruh."
He doesn't, but in my head he
then
does.
next is Kimberly's talent or hobby, which is gymnastics, which tracks, so that's fine. And so, but before we get into Kimberly's hobby, which is gymnastics, and she does a pretty sweet split. Before we get into that, we're going to jump into our segment. What was Kimberly wearing this week? And guys,
this is like a 3-part episode for that, isn't it?
I don't
Was that
think
this one
so.
or was that the last one?
This is a 2-parter.
Okay.
There's definitely a second set, but I only have 2 on my notes. So this one she's wearing blue velvet pants, and in the interest of fairness, I didn't touch them, so I can't be sure that they're velvet.
They might just be dark denim.
They looked shiny in a way that only velvet looks, so I'm not 100% on what it was. But anyway, they're kind of mom jeans. They go up a little high, which is fine with me. And she's wearing a striped, like horizontally striped shirt, which is like a light gray, maybe a white. I think it's white. White shirt with light blue stripes. The only pink she's wearing is her Doc Martens, which have made their triumphant return to the podcast. And that's it. That's what she's wearing for now.
So far.
Stay tuned. Then we go to Billy's talent, and I might be or hobby. I keep saying talent because it seems like a classroom talent show.
It's a hobby show.
Yes, you're right. And I might have switched Kimberly and Billy in my head in their positions.
Nope, Billy's the last.
Right? Yes, you're right. Because Billy's favorite thing is science fairs. Billy's hobby is science fairs. I think that tracks for the rest of the series. And so he made a volcano with Ivanoo's goo in it.
It's superheated gack.
Yeah, because it was a little runny, but also a little not. And so obviously, it gets on Bulk and Skull's face. Bulk gets some in his mouth.
Skull was in the clear.
You're right.
It was exclusively on Bulk's face. I don't even remember how he got there. Or what he was doing, why he was hanging over the volcano.
I don't either, but then his face was in it.
But Billy, I think, erupted it in his face. Then
some was in his mouth.
No, I'm thinking a little bit further ahead. Some gets in his mouth.
Then he spits it out onto Skull's face.
Who definitely gets some in his mouth.
For real, not like...
Right.
It's not like a fake spitting thing. Like, there's no tube.
I think after this is when they decided that in real life they needed to be best friends to continue doing stuff like this.
Yes, absolutely. And then... Oh, God.
And then...
My leg.
Billy and Trini kind of snuggle in the corner a little bit and laugh at their misfortune.
A little bit. There's a little... It's sort of... It's not like they're not holding hands, but they're like linked arms in like a really...
And she's like really close to him.
Really up into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, guys. So, as they leave, Mrs. Appleby tells them to read the next chapter of their English books. Question marks. Why do we need them? Which is my favorite throwaway joke thus far in Power Rangers. Then we go back up, and I forget what Rita and them are talking about. Oh, they're talking about how they're going to get that doll, because she hates dolls now that Trini has one. Has had one. Now that Trini is showing it off. And Goldar is back to being wrong.
Yeah, he has the wrong voice again.
His voice is wrong again. Because they were filmed it out in different orders,
Probably.
and maybe they were just trying out Goldar's, like, who's got the best Goldar voice.
Right.
And then they settled on the good one. Or the one that I'm most used to and therefore like the best. It's hard to be objective about that. We cut to the nighttime. where Trini is putting Mr. Ticklesneezer, or all of her dolls away, really. And she's like, you guys had a big day. Because they had to leave the house for the first time in probably a while.
They went out.
Yeah, and so she puts Mr. Ticklesneezer on her nightstand, facing her. This creepy doll staring at her down while she's trying to sleep.
Creepy grin.
It's
not like a happy grin. It's kind of like I'm gonna get you.
Yeah,
when you're not looking.
You in this
grin.
Bottle, and it's sort of like a troll doll, but not.
But more of a monster.
But more of a monster. And then this is when Squat comes down.
Squat the infiltrator.
Squat infiltrates things. This is his role in the group, as he is the infiltrator. Like, he sneaks into places. The biggest, widest, most bumbling dude is just...
And he's terrible at it. He gets in there. He's got this 1970s futuristic game controller.
It looks like a remote control for like a really big remote control airplane.
Right.
You know, so it's like, it needs all this power because it's huge. But it's like the antenna's off. It's a laser now, and he's like talking to himself.
At
and
first,
like,
I thought it was just gonna be like a Ticklesneezer locating device.
Bing, 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 achoo. There he is.
I found him.
But no, it's a laser, and it zaps really loudly, and then Ticklesneezer turns into a monster. And then him and Squat have like a conversation as loud as they can, and
also
Trini,
he's giggling the whole time he's looking for him loudly.
Yeah, and Trini is just dead asleep. She's out like I sleep, which you could drop bombs outside my house and I will just roll over.
Away from them.
Unless my roommate's dog is barking. I'm trained to hear that now. I'll tell you the story later. She woke me up last night for like 10 minutes before they got home. And I was like, you stupid little thing. You little terror. Then she flips onto her belly and she's cute again. And you're like, you...
She flips on her back and shows
your belly. I know that now. Anyway, so they bring Ticklesneezer back up. Squat like teleports him back up, also loudly. Teleports
we
also
go.
And then and they go back up to space. And Trini
like, I think she shifts a little.
Yes, she does. She's like, oh, was that a dream? I don't know. And then Rita is like interviewing Ticklesneezer.
Right, he's on like a panel interview.
Like some sort of like, I don't know. Why do you want this position? Because you kidnapped me. Because I was a doll and you turned me into a monster and now you kidnapped me. And then she casts a spell on him, but it's really just her terribly rapping at him. And she's like, when I do, you have to do what I say. And then there's more to that, but I don't remember.
It's a 4-line spell. I don't remember what it was.
So then we cut back down to Trini the next day, who's with Billy. And she's like, I don't know where Mr. Ticklesneezer went. I know. Okay. We might need to put this Trini and Billy thing to bed and just assume it's, for us, it's real and not talk about it every single episode.
We'll see. See if Power Rangers plays along. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if we can't stop, we don't stop. Anyway,
don't stop.
Okay. And then this is when we kind of prove that they're not freshmen. Trini has a license and gets into her car.
Which means she's at least 16. Because even with a permit, you need a licensed driver.
Yeah.
Which means that then Billy has a license at the very least.
In math, because in New Hampshire...
He also made the rad bug. So he had a car at his disposal.
Yeah. Rad bug, man. So, like, they are driving age. They're at least 16. I mean, okay, farthest, because I don't think any of them stayed back, you know.
None of these five.
None of these five.
Bulk and Skull might be like 27, 28.
They're in their late 20s. Like, if you missed the cutoff, like, if you were, like, just late enough for the cutoff in August or October or whatever, then you're going to be older than everybody else. So you're going to get your license first. So... But
still, at 16, you'd be a sophomore at least.
Yeah, at least. I was 14.
I was 14 freshman year.
For my freshman year.
So even if I started late, I would have been 15.
Yeah.
And then 16 in my sophomore year.
Right. And you're kind of in the middle of the year, right? Because you're February?
February, yeah.
So you're kind of in the middle. My birthday was almost always the last day of school or right after that. So, like, I was age for a whole year. And I was 14 as a freshman, 15 as a sophomore, 16 as a junior. So, like, I'm saying they're juniors at the earliest, for this.
I'll give them sophomore, but the chances that all...
Minor technical issue.
My computer's old and doesn't want to compute anymore.
Doesn't want to, do it.
So anyway, to pick up back where we were, I would give them sophomore year, but the chances of all 5 of them being born in that window...
Right.
That they're all that 1 year older.
Yeah.
Is pretty slim.
Yeah. So, moving on from trying to figure out how old these freaking kids are, which we've done every episode for like 3 or 4 weeks now. They get in Trini's white Volvo thing, and they're driving around retracing her steps, looking for Mr. Ticklesneezer. And then they stop at like a stoplight or a stop sign, and Billy's like, I don't want to be this guy, but like, what if someone stole it? and then Trini's like, nope, nobody stole it. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, he's right there. And they look over.
I just want to say at this point, Trini has no memory of setting him up, saying goodnight to him. Or her memory of that is fuzzy enough that she questions whether it happened.
Was it a dream?
Like,
well, I don't remember. Yeah, and then
she kisses it, I think.
Yeah, and then
good night.
But I mean, if it's not where you put it, your brain is a scumbag, so it's gonna be like, oh, it's not there. You don't. Is that a real memory? I'm not gonna tell you. You better just go look for him. And so she's trying to figure out why he's not there, and the only thing she can think is, oh, I lost him and never actually brought him home. But Mr. Ticklesneezer is there, and she recognizes him despite their faces being completely different. He opens up his bottle, puts them in there, because it's a vacuum, makes it tiny. Here's the thing about Mr. Ticklesneezer. There is lore about him, according to Trini, and that's that he likes to put things in his bottle because he collects everything.
Yep.
And then he says that a million times throughout the episode. I like to collect things. My collection. Oh, yeah. And he says his bottle really specifically. Like he did a really weird way of saying bottle. Not the...
I didn't pick up on his weird way of saying
it's
bottle.
Just he says it so many times that I'm like, is this even a word?
Right.
Is this a real word anymore?
I'll put you in a bottle and put you in my collection. You look great in my collection if I put you in my bottle.
And at the end, I'm like, I don't know what any of those words mean anymore. And then he's just collected crap. Like, he takes some knockoff Eiffel Tower.
A monorail.
He just
Actually, I think the monorail is later.
Yeah.
Because it's in, like, a test tube-shaped bottle. It's in, like, a longer, skinnier
And he takes a motorcycle, which is neat, because the motorcycle actually gets, like, dragged off screen, which is neat. I don't know. I'm not sure how they did it exactly.
And then he takes Trini's car.
With them in it. With Billy and Trini.
And he looks at it. He's like, oh, extra little goodies inside my goodies. In my bottle, in my collection. I love goodies and collections. With bottles.
And then Zordon calls him, right? And he's like, Jeepers Christmas, you guys.
Well, first, Billy and Trini are in the bottle. And then, like, I think Billy's like, help! Or they, like, they both just start screaming.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're trapped in,
but like, it's delayed that not long enough that it's kind of weird.
Right. But then Zordon is like, you gotta stop them because they got trapped.
It's kind of like, he's eating her. And then he's gonna eat me.
Oh my god! Have you seen that movie, or have you only seen that clip?
I've seen not just that clip, but only clips.
I watched that movie before it was the worst movie ever. And like, I don't know, it's weird when you see, because like I like watching terrible movies like that.
Right.
And it's weird when they just all of a sudden become cult hits.
Right.
It's also weird watching bad movies without riff tracks. If you can believe it, that's a thing you can do.
Right, as I experienced with the Dragon Warrior.
Anyway, so we're just gonna jump right into. He contacts the other Rangers, Zordon does, and is like, "Mr. Ticklesneezer's got these guys. You got to save them." And then this is Kimberly. What's Kimberly wearing? Part 2: a pink cropped tank top, pink short shorts, and her Doc Martens again. This is her go-to outfit, and I couldn't be happier. But then they morph onto a dumpster. Like they morph, and then they're all of a sudden standing on a dumpster and be like, Ticklesneezer, hey, don't. But it's also like Mr. Ticklesneezer is like under a spell, so like he doesn't know that he's doing this. He doesn't know that what he's doing is wrong. Bad. Yeah, he's just like, I need to collect things because it's what I do. And then they. Oh, also a note that I have: the moving mouth on Mr. Ticklesneezer is pretty neat because it doesn't look like every other monster's moving mouth.
Right.
It looks like more animatronic, and it looks pretty good. But they've got Trini and Billy in a bottle, and they're like, Kimberly goes to grab it, and like it fumbles it, and it lands on a monorail track, and she does like this dive to get it and lets him go.
Right, I remember that.
And then they morph. Billy and Trini, they like.
Well, it opens the bottle, and the car comes peeling out of there,
spitting out of it, despite the fact that they were stopped at a stop sign. But maybe she just had the brake on. Like it wasn't parked or anything. So when they opened it, it was flying. Or maybe
they're trapped in there, and Trini's just got the gas on the floor, like, trying to bust out of it. Wait till I get out of here, Ticklesneezer. Some tough love.
Well, then they like fight off the putties, and she like scolds Ticklesneezer. She's like, "Hey, return your things. Can't do that." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know I was hurting anybody." But then before he can do anything about it, Rita, who's just like in an adjacent building on the stairs, watching, is like, "I don't think so," and chucks her wand at him, and he grows, and that makes him more evil, I guess.
Well, because the amount of evil grows exponentially as you get larger.
Right. That's what grows you is evil. So yeah, that's why.
Huh?
Grown with evil. GROAN.
Whatever.
Maybe that's why they need a Megazord. They can't just grow, because Zordon's probably got like something that makes him just grow. But he's like, no, you gotta have robots, because if you get big, you get evil. The only thing that can grow you is evil energy.
That's might be true so far, but they grow later.
Do they?
Yeah, there's a fight scene. I don't remember who it's against where the Rangers are grown.
I don't remember that.
It might even be in a different. It might be like Zeo. I think it's Zeo. I think Tommy is the one that. No, it's with Trey.
So Trey
or Gold Ranger.
Or Jason.
I don't know if it's Trey at that point or if it's spoilers, Jason. But anyway,
you'll forget by the time we get to Zeo. Anyway,
we're getting off track.
Yeah. So then, Ticklesneezer gives us things. They defeat Ticklesneezer, who, if I'm not mistaken, bottles up their sword. Like they called it bottles them up. And they're like, we need the power sword. And that strikes the bottle open and spits them out.
Spits out the Megazord, who comes running out. No, I don't remember. But
with the sword. And then they don't kill Ticklesneezer, they just knock the evil out of him.
Knock his HP to 0 and he faints.
Yeah, and then... Yep. And then...
Ticklesneezer's a Pokemon.
Would that fit?
He's a very normal type.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, no, yeah, sure.
One of his moves is stockpile. I don't know. This is...
This could go for days. So then they like are talking to regular sized Ticklesneezer, and they're like, dude, you can't just bottle everything up. You gotta put it back because that's bad. And he's like, I didn't know I was hurting anybody. I'm sorry. And then he puts everything back, and then shrinks back to doll size.
That's a very good Ticklesneezer voice. I think it's better than mine.
Well, thank you. Maybe I've just seen that episode a lot.
Maybe.
And it's just like in me now. So then we cut back to Trini in bed, asleep, in the middle of the night. That first time when she was sleeping in the beginning of the episode.
Right.
And then she just wakes up and she's like, no. No.
Well, she's tossing and turning. She's like, no, Mr. Ticklesneezer, don't.
No, you gotta let him go.
No, Mr. Ticklesneezer, no.
And then she wakes up out of like a cold, dead sleep. And she looks over and Mr. Ticklesneezer's gone. And she's like, no, it can't be. No. And then she looks down and he's just on the floor, like smiling up at her, like the creepiest thing in the world.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I tricked you. And then she's like, oh, it was just a dream. So, like, was it all a dream? Was that episode, was everything from her sleeping until now a dream?
Yes.
So then,
because here's why. Because Power Rangers isn't that complex of a show. So
right.
If they tell you it was a dream,
it was probably a dream.
Because before she woke up, she was morphed talking to Mr. Ticklesneezer, and then she woke up.
Yeah,
so there's
she
no
was
in
like,
between.
Because when she was like,
there was no point where she went back home and got back into
right,
bed.
Yeah, and when she was like tossing and turning, she was like, you have to put it back. You gotta put everything back.
Right.
And like it was saying that before while he was putting things back, and then it cut to her. So here is our duty as basically Power Rangerologists at this point. We need.
I don't like the responsibility that comes with the suffix ologist.
Well, tough, grandson. So what we have to do going forward, because I know they bring back monsters later.
We have to see if Ticklesneezer
we need to see if
back.
they bring Ticklesneezer back, because he's not real.
Right.
If he was only in the dream.
If he was in the dream, he never happened.
But this is a couple things. This brings up a couple questions. Or not questions, but like facts now. Number one, Rita was like, I'm going to get Trini. I hate dolls. And then had no follow-up on that. So she just decided against doing anything that day. Right. She's like, you know what? Never mind. Or she cast a spell that made her have a terrible dream about it instead. Number two, being Power Rangers is starting to affect these children's lives.
Or maybe her waking up is so far in the future that she's having a nightmare about having to fight Ticklesneezer. And she's like, oh no, it can't be. She thinks it's happening again.
Okay, counterpoint. I like that, but counterpoint. You just said Power Rangers is not that complex a show.
You're right.
So
now I'm contradicting myself. I'm a terrible ologist.
You are the worst ologist. So if Ticklesneezer does pop up again, then she was having a dream wearing the same exact nightie, which happens.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't just wear it once and toss it.
Throw it away. So this is, like I was saying, this is starting to affect their lives. Like, they can't just have a good night's sleep anymore without dreaming about monsters and and having to stop the world. I also had a Power Rangers nightmare once, but I'm going to save that for the dream episode later. Because there's a whole dream episode, and I love it, and I'm going to save my Power Rangers fever dream for that episode. Then we cut back. We go back to school. Trini's relieved. Ticklesneezer's here. That couldn't have happened. Or it couldn't have happened again.
Right.
You know, whichever. It wasn't real. That was a dream. What we just saw was a dream in some way. So we go back to school, and they're doing Hobby Day again, unless it is Hobby Week. I honestly don't remember. Maybe it's Hobby Week.
Maybe.
But then every episode that week, they would have to be doing Hobby Week, because they did 5 days a week. Anyway, that's minutia.
Well, it was Hobby Day, but they didn't get to everybody before class was out.
Right, so they just did it again. Because now they're doing Bulk and Skulls, who have a really gross hobby of picking fleas off stray dogs in town.
They open their presentation with, "We love parasites."
Yes. Which is weird.
Which, if you notice, when Mrs. Crabtree?
Appleby?
Crabapple?
Oh.
Applebee? What is this Applebee?
This is Crabapplebee.
When Mrs. Applebee introduces him, she's like, she's not super itchy, but she scratches a little bit on her side as she walks away.
I didn't notice that. Now I'm itching my head because
now you have fleas.
Bugs. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't notice that. That's neat. But then he's like, "Oh, we like parasites. We pick up fleas off stray dogs in town, and then they put them in a circus, which is like this little tiny diorama of a circus that fleas are supposed to be in." Let's talk about flea circuses for a minute.
Were they ever a real thing?
Was this a real thing, or was it a joke on Looney Tunes once that caught on? Because I have never seen one.
The other thing I've seen is people like training pigeons to do a little circus act. But I also think that was just a cartoon joke.
I don't know. But anyway, they open up. They have it's like a cake.
They pull the tent off of their cake pan.
And there's no fleas in there. No fleas. Where did they go? Oh, they're all over at least Mrs. Applebee, because she is itching up a storm now. What, were Bulk and Skull itching also? Did they also have fleas on them?
No, I think they were all just on Mrs. Applebee.
Oh, poor Mrs. Applebee. I wrote down everybody's itchy, but I don't remember if that's true or not. And then
Bulk and Skull might be by the end of the scene. I don't remember.
Possible. But then freeze frame, Power Rangers credits. The episode's over. So, final thoughts on For Whom the Bell Trolls.
If it was just a dream, then everything that happened in it was moot.
Yes. I like the episode because I like Mr. Ticklesneezer is a weird monster, and my favorite monsters are the really weird ones.
I'm just curious why they went with the let's make this all be a dream at the end of episode 9. Like, is that where the footage stops? Like, did they have to make up a weird ending because the footage that they had to use was weird with Ticklesneezer?
Maybe, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It might also be that Ticklesneezer puts everything back. What do you do next? How do you get him back to being a doll?
Right.
So maybe maybe there was like 6 or 7 people.
I'm pretty sure Ticklesneezer was just a monster in the source footage. I don't think he was a doll.
I'm willing to bet money that he was just a
You're
monster
probably right.
who had to interview with Bandora to get a job.
But they could have just brought him back to the command center, and Zordon could have used his space tube magic.
Yeah.
Be like, you're now a doll again.
Rangers.
Then zap him.
He's a doll again.
Behold the viewing
Because
globe.
they did have the Ticklesneezer costume for the American footage when Squat got him from Trini's house.
Right.
So I don't know.
Oh, I just remembered how bad some of the American footage costumes are.
Like the Green Rangers?
The Green Ranger's shield, Madame Woe's face.
A lot of stuff. We'll talk about that later.
I'm excited to get to Madame Woe. That's one of my favorite.
Madame Woe is pretty great. I'm excited for Switching Places. That's one of my favorite episodes.
We're only 7 away from that, because that's 16, right?
16, yep. I said it was 10 in an earlier podcast. It's not.
No, it's 16.
It's 16 because we looked it up the other day.
We also thought Green with Evil was 15 to 20, but it's 17 to 22. So,
right. Which will be an entire week.
We'll do another episode a day.
Come
week.
Heck or high water, we are gonna have 5 episodes of the Morphin Grid. 5. 3 ain't enough, man. We're giving you 5.
We're giving you 5.
Turn it at the end. You think you're going, well, wait, you don't. Anyway, do you have anything else to say about?
Not really.
About For Whom the Bell Trolls?
It's pretty straightforward.
The only thing I don't like about the title, there's no bells in it, so it's just a pun for pun's sake. Because if there was a bell and a troll, then it would have been like this perfect synchronous pun name, you know. But they're just doing the troll part. There's no actual bells. It's a super minor complaint. Doesn't really change anything. And I didn't even think about it until like a second ago when I said it. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think we have nothing else to say about Mr. Ticklesneezer.
I can't think of anything.
And his escapades. So, in the meantime, you can check us out on Tumblr. We are morphingrid.tumblr.com. You can email us at littleidiots.morphingrid@gmail.com, or you can talk to us on Twitter at morphingrid. We welcome all of these things, and by the time this goes up, the Tumblr should have something on it, because I have all day tomorrow off, and I'm just gonna make a post for every episode. I'm gonna put some stuff up. We'll figure it out. We'll make it look not like someone's squatting on a Tumblr,
Right.
which we are right
Which
now.
is basically all it is. Right now.
Right. Yes, right now that's all it is. But by the time you hear this, it won't be anymore. Unless something goes terribly wrong and I end up sleeping all day, or I just watch Harry Potter for 15 hours. So I guess until next time, may the power protect you.
Chipmunk.
Chipmunk bird.
Chill your
Cockamouse.
It's a cockle potato mouse. Don't make this sound ridiculous.
Mouse.